Right, that's the hollow spaceship, right? That
It is, yes, yes, but you have to remember that the Anunnaki themselves are reptilian-like beings who were basically enemies of the Draco and of the Illuminati.
I see. Were they? And I think you're right that they created man to be slaves.
Basically, they created the black race. Credo Mutwa writes about that and talks about that in his work.
That's right. That's online too. David Icke goes to visit him also. Did you know him before David Icke?
No, I didn't know him before that, but I did know other people like him, native peoples in Australia and in this country and other places who had similar information.
Now, Stewart, so Skywatchers are going to be hearing this interview and they're going to be, okay, you guys are all over the map. But I think this is really important to sort of get this broad view of what's going on. Who is battling with who? And what's coming next? Do you have some ideas and predictions of what? Because somebody said that a Project Bluebeam is ready to roll before this election. Mm-hmm. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I wrote about that, as a matter of fact.
Oh, maybe people are reading your material and then repeating it elsewhere, and then you hear it through different.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible, but there's not much time. And it doesn't matter who takes credit for what. It's just a question of getting the information out and preparing for what's going to be imposed.
That's it. That's how do people prepare and what, because I know Skywatchers, a lot of Skywatchers are going to see right through this Project Bluebeam thing.
Well, hopefully they already have. But as I mentioned in my lectures and seminars, that it's not to be based on fear, because fear allows for mind control and programming to take hold. We have to recognize that humanity and this planet are based on a victimization mind pattern. And that's why we're here to overcome that. And when a species has a victimization mind pattern, they attract tyrants and oppressors, which is what we've seen. So, I teach in my work to do your release work, deprogramming, oversoul work, to really reintegrate the personality, open the genetics that have been locked up within you, find out who and what you are, release the victimization, and then none of this has to happen.
That's very interesting, because the kind of next group of questions was just about, like, Scott Stevens is he's a meteorologist who saw the weather manipulation, and he quit and started a website, and the weather wars going on, he influenced a lot of people. And we've interviewed him twice, and one thing he mentioned is like how he suspects that these aerosol operations are affecting people's DNA. What are the things that affect our DNA frequency, and how important is that?
Well, the HARP project resonates at a frequency that directly affects the genetic material of the body. And here's one for your listeners. The crop circles, or I call them crap circles, as you know.
Yes.
They are transmitted to strategic locations on the Earth that affect the morphogenetic grid of everything on and in the Earth. So it's kind of like giving the Earth an injection of a vaccination that affects the whole thing. And our DNA, it doesn't matter if you're an alien, an amoeba, an elephant, a human being, 97% of your DNA is identical. So that means only 3% of DNA differentiates species and individuals within a species. So that's really a very small range of the totality of your DNA. So I teach methods to open up that 97% that isn't used, that scientists call junk, because they don't know what it is or they don't want you to know what it is.
Right.
But that's where the God mind information is located. That's where everything in the universe and all of creation can be accessed by you as an individual.
And that's why native cultures are being destroyed, because of their connection to God mind?
Right, because they know how to use this and to access it. And so they are eliminating all native peoples everywhere.
Stuart, do you think there's going to be an intervention, like from benevolent ETs, if it just gets way out of control?
That's New Agey kind of thing.
Are there benevolent?
There are no benevolent ETs, and besides that, there is a legal distinction between alien and ET, which I describe in my books. The U.S. has a law that prohibits contact with an ET, but not with an alien. Aliens are physical beings from another world within our physical reality. ETs are borderline physical, non-physical, that can be from other dimensions. And that's why it's illegal to speak with them or deal with them, because they're hard to monitor. So I have to make that distinction.
Okay.
But, the true benevolent beings do not interfere, because they know that this is about human mind pattern and what humans are attracting to themselves. And they cannot interfere with the development and growth of humanity. And so the ones who come here have their own agenda, and even if they tell other people that they're trying to help and uplift mankind, that is not correct, because they're interfering with the development of an entire species. So a true benevolent being would not do that. Interesting.
So the governments don't really care about aliens that are coming in to intervene with the evolution of humanity.
Well, there aren't any. All the aliens that are coming here have an agenda. And the ones who are on the physical Earth and interacting with humans are doing so under the permission and jurisdiction of New World Order.
Now, you mentioned briefly about the science of making black holes.
Yes.
Well, that's a large scientific community is very wary of the super collider experiment.
Yes.
And what is your thinking on that?
Well, the super colliders there is one in Texas, there's one in Western Illinois, there are several. There's one in Switzerland. There's a few in the world. The Soviets or the Russians have a couple of them. Think of it as a gigantic artificial vortex that can be created and open up a wormhole or a vortex to another dimension.
Now, Michael Tessarian, are you familiar with his work?
Yes, I know him.
He says that this race of beings, I think he's referring to Anunnaki, that were chased here, and they were locked here with some kind of force field and maybe a radiation belt or something that they couldn't get out of because it recognized their DNA imprint, and they were imprisoned here. Some of that kind of overlap with some of your research?
Well, there were in the past so many alien groups that had come here that it's just phenomenal how many have come here.
Okay.
And so, yes, this planet also has a reputation of being a prison planet for many species, where they are sent here to incarnate in human bodies as a prison sentence.
We're like a galactic prison colony?
For some species, yes.
Okay. And not so for others?
No, again, it depends. The Earth, not the Earth, but the universe, creation is teeming with life. There are literally billions of civilizations.
I want to get one last question in on this, because we didn't really talk too much about chemtrails and the whole aerosol program that's going on worldwide. It's like there are planes almost in every NATO country. I mean, I know you wondered what this was, and I know weather modification is part of it, and I know there's the Project Bluebeam. Who are flying these planes?
They're humans. There's two different, or I should say more than two different projects related to this occurring. There are some sprays that are designed to open up the reptilian genetics within humans. There are others which are creating this electromagnetic web or network for Bluebeam Project. And there are others that have a different agenda. So it's not just one.